You're in a good place now. Relax, breathe, smile. You've entered into your element, the home of origin, the home of intelligence and beauty, where relevant topics are discussed, where what you think counts, and where superior is the norm. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
I like Perspectives with Ashley Burgess, but I prohibit my workers from listening to it.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I am your host, Ashley Burgess. We have a great show for you tonight. We're talking about seeing it, confronting it, accepting it, and letting it go. We're talking about this in the context of toxic relationships. I think most people listening tonight have experienced a toxic relationship, one or another. Maybe several, actually. Maybe a multitude of toxic relationships seem to be all in your life. And I think when we have to experience these on a daily basis, we get pushed down. Our energy level for doing things that are actually good for us goes away. And we spend more times wondering what's going on with this particular toxic relationship today. And what should I need to know? And what information have I not been told? And what's important for me to figure out? Bill, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm a little tired tonight. I'm doing okay. I spent the day traveling. I traveled all day, Ashley, just to be here for you.
In the studio tonight.
Special. You said that was just for me, Bill.
You're hurting Eric's feelings,
You
man.
say that to all the hosts and co-hosts.
That's right.
Yeah.
I said it to Keenan, too.
Keenan, he's just telling everybody this.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. I'm here. I'm doing good. I'm cleaning up one house and like putting things in boxes.
But yeah, you're about to move. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to move into my little, I guess, bachelor pad, if you want to call it that. I don't know, but yeah, that's what it'll be.
Your new man cave.
Yes, it'll be my man cave.
Special.
Yes.
Yeah, let the married guy plan the opening party. Yeah.
And the listeners out there only knew what we were planning on.
I know, right?
But this is a family show, so
I will still be there myself too. I will check it out as well. I want to be a part of this. I even bring in a housewarming gift too. You know that, right?
Yeah. I remember you told me something. What, like a picture or
it's
something?
It's a painting, actually.
Oh, a painting.
Better than dishes.
I've been wanting to get a painting.
Yeah, so it's gonna look cool. It's tiny, but it's nice, and it'll look good.
Well, I want to get some.
You don't need a lot of space. I've been to his place before, and he didn't need a lot of space.
No, I don't need a lot of space, but the thing is, though, what I want to do different with this place than I did my last place is that I actually really want to decorate. So I want to, frame some of my photography and put it on the walls, have like a little gallery of Keenan Cobb's photography, his street photography, and hang up paintings on the wall as well.
Nice.
Have splashes of color.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Ladies like splashes of color, Mr. Single Man.
That
funny,
is my motivation.
A friend of mine was actually at someone's house. This was years ago, and it was kind of an inside joke, and it's kind of funny. But the girl actually looked at this group of guys that I know and said, "Hey, you want to see my paintings?" And all of them heard her wrong, heard that word wrong. And so she said, "Here, follow me into the bathroom. I want to show you my paintings." Well, nobody's really listening to her, so they all follow her into the bathroom.
Of course they are.
The door closes, and they stand there. And as she goes, "See my paintings?" They all look down. And she looks at them. She goes, "What are you looking at?" And they're like, and she goes, "My paintings." And she puts her hands out there and shows the wall. And they're the paintings.
Not the female undergarment.
The paintings.
Yes.
Oh.
So she had that up northeast accent down here in the South.
They were not even paying attention. They had their head in the gutter the whole time, I'm sure. They're like, panties, we're on the way.
I know, right? They didn't hear the...
So that's what, talking about a new house, a lot of times we make changes in our life, but we still continue to bring that toxic relationship, those toxic people into our life. We continue to keep going on, creating no new chapters and wondering, why is it that my life isn't getting any better?
Here's where I got a problem, Ashley, and I'm just going to say this live to everybody who's listening right now. Why didn't you do this show 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I was younger?
when I really needed it.
When I really needed it. Yeah. I'm a married old guy
thanks
now.
Thanks a lot. Johnny come lately, Ashley. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ashley. We appreciate it. So,
Johnny
figure.
come lately. Well, it's Ashley shows up. Ashley showed up at the right time,
Ashley
right?
Come
well,
lately.
I mean, this show is actually pretty current for me being the only single guy here on the show. So,
So it is.
So pretty much every woman, not every woman that I meet, but there's a lot of women who I meet who they think they're crazy, so they act crazy, and blase, blah, crazy stuff happens. Things are toxic, and we know how it is. End of story. I just stop calling. Well, I confront, then I stop calling.
Oh, here we go.
Keenan's just skipping all the steps, man. He just goes straight to the confront.
I think he likes the confrontation.
I'm a confrontational person. I can't help it.
Yes, confrontation.
I remember the days.
Push it over a little bit more. I want to confront.
Well, the thing is, though, that was when I was over in Iraq. That was the one thing that actually my ex, she worried about me when I was there, other than the normal stuff, or what you might consider normal, is that I have a Rambo complex.
So she worried that you would get into a confrontation during the confrontation.
Yeah, yeah.
Or at a bar.
Yeah, but the thing is,
after the confrontation.
I have the Rambo complex, where it's like I don't want to retreat. Yet at the same time, though, I don't stand my ground. I just want to move forward. I want to keep going forward. I'm like, no, we must go. I remember it was even during a training drill. And the sergeant wanted to fall back. He wanted to retreat. I got livid. I was livid. I was like, no, we cannot fall back. We cannot retreat. We must continue, press forward. We can do this. We must accomplish the objective. And then the sergeant looks at me and says, dude, your entire team is dead. I'm like, so we can still pull it off.
We can still make this a reality.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, we are so glad Keenan survived the war.
We are. We are so glad.
Yes.
So.
In spite of the situation.
In spite of the confrontation.
Well, and speaking of toxic relationships, I mean, I think what Keenan just described may be a significant factor in it, don't you think? I mean, one person, is like the aggressor. And, and then if it depends on the other person. If that person is just passive and just takes it, then there's one dynamic. But if you get two people who are just aggressors,
that's not going to work.
Then
it's double
toxic. On.
Double
right?
toxic.
And it's double toxic. And
duel to the death on that one.
So I think we got a lot of topics to choose from tonight.
Yeah, well, let me put my gas mask on because it's going to get funky up in here.
Yes, it is.
All this toxicity going on.
Oh, let's tell you, it's all green. Green, yes. So we're talking about, seeing it, accepting it, and letting go of toxic relationships tonight. Because, I think this has to be the approach. You remember when you were a kid and they taught you how to stop, drop, and roll? You stop, you smelled smoke, you realize there's smoke, right? You drop to the ground and you rolled. Well, there's a reason for all these things. You don't just go, you see it and then beat it down.
That wasn't
breakdancing?
That wasn't breakdancing?
For some, it might have.
Oh, okay. Stop, drop, and roll. All right.
For some, that might have been their coordinational level. Just stop, roll, pass out, fall down. So first of all, we're going to talk about basically toxic relationships in different scenarios. And we're going to talk about how you begin to see it, how you deal with it, and how you move on. I think the first toxic relationship that's near and dear to my heart, I don't know about y'all, but, I have a soft spot for that. And I know this sounds funny to some people, but I think it's that concept where, the people who'd rather actually see you in the hospital than see you succeed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The haters, is that?
They'd rather have you call them and go, I'm heading to the ER or something's bad. And they're right on it. They're like, Johnny's on the spot. And I'm right here. Oh, Bill's hurt. Bill's dying. You know what I mean? But if you were to call them and say, hey, I got this deal and I'm so happy about it. I'm moving to California and the whole world's opening up. They'd be like, oh, yeah, I gotta go.
And actually, because I've got the perfect example for you, my mom's ex boyfriend, who is just the dictionary. If you wanted a dictionary definition of the savior complex, okay, this guy, they just put his picture in there. Enough said.
And he is a negative Nancy.
Oh my gosh! He's arrogant, and he thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the room. He has to be the center of attention for everybody, and he gets off on, putting my mom down.
How did she land this gem?
And belittling him. Oh, I think that's another 2-hour show right there, just in and of itself.
Yeah.
So he basically is just a jerk, and the words that I would use I can't express at this time.
That's a good word. That's a good word. He's a jerk.
On every single sense of the word.
Yes.
Egotistical. Basically, the world revolves around him.
Yeah.
Narcissistic.
All that's a good one.
It's such a big word for that.
I'm surprised I pulled it off.
That was good.
Yeah,
I'm
glad I went to class.
I mean, say it fast 3 times though.
Nope. I know my limitations.
So, but I mean, and my mom. To make a long story short, I think she's one of those people who has very low self-esteem of herself, and she defines herself by her relationships. And what I mean by that is that in her case, she feels incomplete unless she has a man in her life.
Right.
Okay. Now that's not specific to women. That can happen with both genders.
Sure. Yeah.
But so therefore, the first guy that came along who showed her attention, she just fell for. And in the ex's case, it's that he has this thing about, okay, I'm going to swoop in and rescue her because her family's mistreated her, and of course my mom has the story. Actually, my mom has a lot of health issues. Yeah, and he thought, and we're coming to in a second. I'll wrap this up. He thought that he was going to be able to save her because she's got health issues, and he just needed his kind of TLC. And when that didn't happen 10 years later, he just threw her to the curb.
I'm kind of a little interested, though, in the fact that a lot of times, though, saviors aren't really the toxic ones.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we return, because saviors are normally the decent people that are trying to do something because, like the idea of, I need to really clean out my house, but instead of that, I'll talk to you about how you need to clean out your house. Saviors are all about the other person's issues because they seem to be easier to deal with than their own. Normally, they're not just jerk-offs, but I guess maybe if he thought he could save her, I don't know. We need to talk about that when we return. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about the whole concept of seeing it, accepting it, and letting go of toxic relationships in your life. So stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. The water's warm and there's a swim-up bar. Glass of perspective, anyone? Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On tonight's show, we're discussing how to see it, accept it, and let go of toxic relationships in your life. Right before the break, we started talking about our first significant type of toxic individual. And those are the people that seem to rather want to see you in the hospital than see you succeed. And right before the break, Bill was talking about how his mom was dealing with, I guess, her last boyfriend.
Yeah,
was
long-term relationship.
Had a savior complex, but was also narcissistic and self-centered, and basically took off, and he was a toxic individual. And I do agree that there can be some savior-type complex people that can probably exhibit that. That's not a usual... They usually don't show it that way, though.
Well, okay. Well, maybe savior complex wasn't the right term to use in this case.
Maybe it was, though. Maybe he was just one of those irregular type ones, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe he got off on doing that, and that was part of his self-centeredness, is trying to show somebody else that they're not that good, or that, they need him.
That was exactly
okay. That's it. So you need me, because if you don't have me, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, exactly. You're nothing.
And he would.
And so she took away her self-esteem even more than she did. She already didn't have much self-esteem. Right?
He would patronize her, belittle her intelligence in front of other people, and just basically, make it all about him. Like, here's a good example. My mom, before she met him, my mom hated sports. All right. She starts dating him, and all of a sudden, she's all about basketball, and especially the Denver Nuggets. Mm-hmm. Now, no offense to all the Denver fans out there, but he just happened to be a Denver Nuggets fan. All of a sudden, she's all about the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they never miss a game. And later, she switched her allegiance to LeBron because she's a big LeBron fan. But again, no offense to.
So basically, she changes her entire lifespan to deal with this guy, to be at his beck and call for all his whims, everything he wants to do. And you're right. I actually know somebody that has a savior complex, and he saves women that have nothing else going on, so that literally they're at his beck and call. So when he wants to take a trip, they immediately drop everything because they don't have a life, they don't have a career,
exactly,
they don't have anything.
I have nothing.
You're right.
It sounds like a sugar daddy.
Oh, sugar daddy.
I never thought of that, but Eric, I think there's a
that's
lot
old
of that
school.
because,
forget all these new terms. That's a sugar daddy.
Well, I mean, the only term that I know is Captain Save, or whatever, however you want to say it. But Yeah,
rhymes with yo.
Yeah, rhymes with yo. Captain Sava rhymes with yo.
Yeah.
You know, but I've seen these guys, and they pretty much, you know, like Ashley said, they pick women who have nothing going for them, and at the same time, though, even women do that. You know, they have the Florence Nightingale complex. That's what I like to call it.
Or they call it the cleanup women, the ones that take a guy, right, clean him up, put a new suit on him, get his hair cut, shave it off, whatever, make him look good, the watch and everything like that, and then the next thing you know, he goes around looking at other women.
Exactly.
Because now he's in a position where other women look at him. Oh, look at that guy, he's nice. He looks good. You know, he must have a lot of money.
I am so glad I'm married and out of the game.
Right?
But are any of us really out of the game? The game of life.
Yeah, that's good. It's complicated. Cleanup woman. Wow. There was a song called A Cleanup Woman. There was a different take on that.
That it was.
I got a few cleanup women in my life. So, but yeah.
It would be helpful.
So I guess the question I have, do certain people attract a level of toxicness in their life because of their own toxicity?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Or
Absolutely.
I'm sure it's probably a spectrum. Is it because they are in turn toxic themselves, or they are in a position that attracts a toxic person, thus creating whatever realities that they want to live in? I mean, what's that space?
Well, real quick, I do think, though, a lot of times, too, when you have the savior complex, if you're a decent person that's trying to save people, you will bring toxic people around you because you think that they can't be that bad. Like they can't really be that angry or upset or toxic or negative. There's got to be something underlying. There's got to be a real issue. There's got to be parent issues there. Let's get down to the heart of it and try to find their heart and soul when sometimes they're not be that. You know?
And I was going to say, I mean, and God bless her, because I just got through spending a few days during the holidays with her, and I love my mother and would do anything for her, but she's the definition of a toxic person. She doesn't have very good self-esteem. She has excuses for the reason why she can't do things.
Yeah.
And this is even before all her health problems, and she has a lot of health problems right now. And you know, so yes, the answer is yes. She tended to attract a certain type of person, you know, and I'll even put that in context of my biological father's relationship with her, which I have a great relationship with my dad. But they were married 11 years, and it was about 10 years too many. The only memory I have of them is fighting.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were just a complete toxic. They just should not have never met. You know, it was two trains that should not have crisscrossed. Yeah. And now, of course, I mean, I guess I'm glad they did, at least for you, for me. Yeah. But
we are too, Bill.
And Bill's no longer here. We've replaced him now with somebody else that we call Bill now. Yeah, because we'd have to go back and change everything the course of history.
That's right.
It is what it is. Things happen. But I do agree that people do bring toward them what they're looking for. But also sometimes, if you think about the savior thing, if it is more like the sugar daddy, you accept whatever they bring to you. So if they're going to take care of you, you have to overlook all that other stuff because you need the help. Maybe it starts getting worse, too, over a period of time where at first it wasn't like, look at all the stuff I'm doing for you or putting you down in front of people. Maybe in the beginning it looked like help. You know, oh, this person's helping me. But then all of a sudden throughout the years, it became more and more toxic where, look at her, she's an idiot. She doesn't even know how to say that word properly in front of like 4 other people at dinner and making fun of. And, oh, I do that for you. And if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have that car to drive, by the way. I'm the one that made that possible. I make your life possible. That's how this is here.
I pay for your life.
And it gets all the way there in 10 years.
Maybe there's similarities to the battered woman syndrome, you know, where it's like she's just too afraid to leave the relationship because she fears the unknown worse than she fears what's going on.
Well, yeah, that, but also, too, I agree with you, but also the concept of, you know, if they break your spirit long enough and people keep telling you something over and over and over again, you're going to start to believe it. And if you had any belief in yourself before, you wouldn't be in that situation now. So you already had probably low self-esteem based on the way, you know, the woman's mother talked to her. Or if it was a father, you know what I'm saying, as well as the family members. And then you go into another relationship where they exhibit those same negative talk, negative patterns to that person, where they automatically feel like, I'm not worth anything. I mean,
Yeah,
I have to have this person here to take care of me because I can't do it on my own. Apparently, I haven't been able to do it my whole life.
Yeah, let me add a different sliver to consider as well. And the whole savior complex, it's an interesting term. And I've, if you live long enough, you've gone through things. And I've been through relationships, some worked, some didn't. And I was given that term at some point. And I go back to what Ashley said earlier. Not everyone is that has that complex. We're just focusing on that term. My deal was that I thought that anything that I was involved in, I could win at it. And that was because of a lot of my athletic background. I'd been on winning teams. I'd been an athlete and excelled in all of that. And so it blinded to a very high degree how I chose relationships. And as I got older, I realized there was other layers. But, I would date women and I would be purposefully blind to some of their inequalities or qualities that weren't up to a certain par. And then when I did, come out of my haze because either they were beautiful or they whispered sweet nothings in my ear, I ignored it because I thought I could fix it. And I don't know what level of savior complex that is, but I found myself getting into a lot of trouble because you can't fix grown folks.
Well, now, Eric,
No, you can't.
let me ask you this. I mean, because there might be, and I'm speaking just about men right now.
Yeah.
And this might be stereotyping men just a little bit, but how much of it is the man's natural desire
Bingo.
to protect those that he loves?
Well, that's because he's been conditioned to do so.
And that was part of
That's
mine
the
as well.
thing. Exactly.
Because not every man is a savior.
Yeah,
Conflict.
Well, no.
Yeah.
But where's the line though? Where
exactly.
Where does it become?
And that's what I struggle with because I was raised by a single mom. I had a lot of aunts and all of that. And they put a lot into my head about being a gentleman, about doing the right thing, about opening the door for ladies, about buying dinner and all of those kind of things.
And let me play devil's advocate with you for a second. Maybe that's the woman's view of what a man should be.
Bingo.
You didn't have that dominant male figure in your life.
Yep.
To a point. Yeah. To a point. Yeah. So
But also, he might have been wanting that as far as himself too. I mean, he might, think about subconsciously how everybody wants somebody to come in and save them to some degree. I mean, he might be actually acting out on what he had hoped to have.
Yeah,
a father come in and be there, and so he reflects it back on the other side.
Yeah. So it's complex, and I enjoy the conversation. Yeah. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, we all have certain faults, but these types of conversations help me understand a lot more about myself, and hopefully to the listeners out there, these types of conversations help you as well.
I love that. That's so awesome. Yeah, so when we return, we'll be talking more about toxic relationships, what various kinds there are, and how you can see them, deal with it, possibly confrontation, and let it go. So stay tuned because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On tonight's show, we're discussing seeing it, accept it, and letting go of toxic relationships. I think everybody, to some degree, has had at least several toxic relationships in their life. I know I have. I know the longer I've known somebody, the longer I've allowed the toxic relationship to continue.
Yep.
I know that I try to save people and think that, well, this is just them acting out, being a child, and they're going to overcome this.
Not the real person. I know their heart.
Their heart's got to be good somewhere. And some people just, God bless, when they were giving out hearts somewhere, they just weren't there that day. And then you have other situations where we resonate with that other person. And so that's what I want to talk about right now, is that there are some people that we resonate with their pain body, and it keeps us mentally there, and it keeps us also feeling toxic as well. So think about it. You have people that you two resonate constantly with what's not working in your life. So Keenan and I were over here every time, we're walking into the studio to work, it'd be like, I had this awful day. And this happened, and this happened. You're like, oh, well, you got to hear about my day. My day was awful, too. And this is what happened. This is what happened. And we just keep feeding off of each other while everybody else around us is like, this is awful. I mean, because we would just keep compounding on the negativity that's going on instead of somebody being able to say, let's look at the brighter side of things. Let's look at things from a different perspective. But a lot of times other people's toxicity can connect with us. Yeah,
I've seen that, and you bring up a really good point, and I'm going to share something that I've observed physically in that sense. You talk about it mentally, Ashley, but physically, and this is no dig at anyone who has weight issues, but sometimes when you look at couples, and if there's one person in the relationship that's at an unhealthy weight, And we all have different girth and all of that, but I'm talking about unhealthy weight. You'll oftentimes see the partner is in the same condition. And that's an interesting dynamic. And I'm not judging or anything, but it's that shared kind of piling on to the misery, impacting the toxicity of the relationship kind of thing. Hey, I'm in it, she's in it, we're in it together. Let's just go in misery together because, quote unquote, there's no way we can get out of it. And you see that. I see that a lot, more than I probably should.
It goes back to the old saying, misery loves company and everything like that. And the thing is, though, you get two toxic people together who bond with something like, say, eating or having drugs, smoking, yes, all these unhealthy things that people do, or like even talking about all the bad stuff that occurs in their life, and they pretty much bond together, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you and I, we see eye to eye, so it's almost like that person understands where you're coming from, and you feel as if this person just totally understands me. Mm-hmm. So then over time, relationships are formed. But then, it goes well for like 2 months. And then that's when all the fireworks begin to wake up.
You're right about the bonding over negativity. Now, think about this, too. Think about old school friends. Yeah. Think about old school friends that you got in trouble with back when you were younger, right? And you did a lot of crazy stuff, and you remember going, remember when we did this? So every time you get back together, you go, remember when we did that? Yeah. Remember when we went by the corner store and we did this? And everybody goes, oh, man, you start laughing. But you're not creating anything new. It's all talking about remember when. Yeah. Same thing with the negative story is that if I connected somebody over a negative story, we don't have anywhere to go. Yeah. All we can talk about is the negative because we're not figuring out how to create any new anything. It's just, this is what me and Joanna connected on. And me and Joanna both talk about our health issues.
So the foundation of that relationship is already toxic. So garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah, where do you go from there? Yeah. Because you got two people talking the same language. You can't change. It's hard to change. It's like for example, it's hard to make new experiences with old friends that you don't really hang out that much, because it seems like instead of saying, hey, let's do something new, the whole time you're doing something new, you're over there talking about what happened 10 years ago. Yep. Yeah. Instead of saying, hey, we're here now. Let's talk about now. Yeah. No, it's like, no, remember when we were 15 and you did that? And you're just like, okay, and you leave there going, did we do anything?
Did we do anything new and positive and progressive?
Not at all.
Well, speaking of that, last night I ran into my old skateboard crew. And the funny part about it, we were actually known like pretty much all across the United States. I mean, there was a Dallas crew, the Fort Worth Zoo, there was a New York crew. I mean, there was every major city had a crew, and like within the crew, someone was pro, or a couple of people was pro. But the thing is that we would go out, we would skate downtown, and the thing is we would get into a lot of trouble all the time. But I ran into them. And it was so funny that I actually ran into the crew, not just one single person.
Yeah. The whole crew.
Yeah, I ran into the whole crew pretty much. And like we were talking about, hey, remember that time we did this? Remember that time we did that? Or, and it was all this bad stuff that we used to do, And then I asked like, hey, what happened to so-and-so? They're like, oh, well, he died.
Well, Keenan, here's kind of a, old school reference that's kind of silly, but do you remember back in the day, Happy Days? Did you ever watch that show when you were a kid? In the reruns?
Monday, Tuesday, Happy Days, Wednesday, Thursday.
I was watching Sanford and Son.
You watching Sanford? Okay, well, I watched that show too. I love Red Fox. I love Red Fox. Anyway, Stella, Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you, darling. But anyway, they had a couple. Fozzie's background was that he started off in a biker gang.
Okay, yeah. I remember he had the leather jacket.
Yeah. And then gradually, he got out of that. But they had a couple episodes where he would get together with his old crew, and they would do the things that they would used to do.
And he had moved on from that. And he was trying to clean up his image. I remember that episode. Yeah. He struggled with that.
Yes.
He struggled with that.
Yes, he did.
The emerging Fonzie versus the past Fonzie. Yeah. And we all struggle with that.
But at the same time, though, when I was talking to my crew, I was like, hey, so what's new with y'all? Nothing. I haven't seen y'all in years, and some of them still skate.
At 30 years old?
Well, yeah, you can still skate at 30 years old. You just can't bounce off the concrete like you used to. But But I'm like, no, I mean, like,
he can still bounce, just not like he used to.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
He bounces, but it's a thud.
It's a third.
Yeah, like I told my
It's not
buddy, I was
bouncing,
like,
it's
I
bounce.
told him straight up, like, yeah, I still know how to ride a skateboard. I still know how to kickflip and ollie and do grinds and nose. I still know how to do it. I'm like, the muscle mechanics is still in my head, it's still in my legs and everything like that. But when I fall down, it's not like it was back when I was 16, where I could just get back up and like, okay, we're gonna try that again. Now it's like, hold on, let me sit here real quick, you know. But it goes back to what Ashley said. It's like, we didn't talk about anything new, and like after 10 minutes of this conversation, I just
So you could
left.
sense.
I left. I'm like, hey, there's some girl over there that I haven't met. I'm gonna go talk to her.
So you could
Yeah.
sense a toxic aroma creeping into the dynamic, and so you remove yourself from it before it became toxic.
Or maybe it was also just not moving. You
Or
know?
just not
I mean,
moving.
like, nothing's growing out of this.
It wasn't moving because the thing is, I mean, a couple of the guys, you know, they're doing well, married with children, regular jobs, you know, what have you, you know. And then there's other couple of guys, and they're, you know, they're just kind of doing the same old same.
It's hard for those two groups to hang out, but, you know, that tells me one thing is that the guys that are married, if they're still hanging out with these guys, they want to relive the old days. You know, I mean, there's certain things about feeling, you know, safe. You know, sometimes people move on and they get the kids and they get the wife and they do all this stuff and then they go, okay, so I'm supposed to be a different person. I'm supposed to be a suit-wearing guy.
But you're still
that
the
does
skater
this.
dude at heart.
Yeah, so you're like, well, I'm going to go hang out with my old skater friends. Well, I can at the bar, and we'll talk about that because that gives me comfort. I feel comfort in the beer. I feel comfort in my friends. But at the same time, for people like you, Keenan, that's already kind of moved on, but also you're looking for other stuff, that's just boring. You're just sitting there going, well, we're just going to talk about it. I'm not running away from anything. I'm trying to create something new. I got my whole life right here. I got all this stuff opening up, and I don't really want to go backwards and sit and go, okay, well, I'm just going to reminisce for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the high school guy that you love him to death, and everybody that's listening tonight has a friend that was a high school football player. And they were really good in high school.
Hey, watch out where you're going with that.
I know.
Watch out where you're going with that.
I know, but you know what I'm saying, in high school. And they weren't really probably that great in high school. But, you know, high school football is what it is, okay? 1A, 2A, 3A, how big a school you are. And you have those guys, and they landed all the girls. They were the guy. You know, normally they were the homecoming court and the homecoming king and all that kind of stuff. But when it got to college, they never played because they were never asked to play. And then it's the sad thing is some of those people go on to make an incredible life. And then you have the other group of people that go on and you're at the 10 or 20 year reunion and they're still showing the films from when they were playing one of the schools,
The one play.
Remember that play I made when I scored the touchdown and we went 7-0 and we got the extra point and that's what made the game? And everybody's like, God, and you're trying to think about it. You don't
He's
remember.
Still living off that high school glory. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember the game.
Yeah.
You know, the song "Glory Days" by Bruce
Glory
Springsteen.
days.
That's good example.
Halloween girls out.
Glory days. Yeah.
And I think it's the way that we deal with those things, right? Do we use our strengths and say, okay, I was great at this and now I'm going to continue to go forward? Or do I look at that and say that was the only strength I had and be miserable the rest of my life and try to figure out how I can actually go backwards? And I think they've done several shows. I think even, what is it, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof? I think there's a lot of different films that were based on the fact of somebody in that situation. So stay tuned. When we return, we're going to be talking more about good old home-cooking toxic relationships, how you can see it, how you can accept it, and how you got to just let it go. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
I can lift you up. I can show you what you want to see and take you where you want to be.
Get in here and give us your perspective. We're listening. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Well, welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. We have a great show. We've been talking about toxic relationships, how to see them, how to accept them, and then eventually how to let them go, because that's really your only option.
Flee from here.
Run away! Run away!
Run, Forrest.
Run, Forrest, run.
I decided to run, and I was running.
She's toxic, Forrest. She's toxic.
And I ran till there just wasn't anybody else to run. So I turned back around and I ran the other way.
I kept running till I couldn't smell no more toxic.
I know, for some reason, I just
was hilarious.
cannot run away. Before I even let everything go, I'm going to confront
You
this
like
person.
confrontation, though.
I
You don't want to leave that part because that's your favorite part.
Here's the image of Keenan. Keenan starts running and he makes a U-turn to run back. He
This
makes a
is what it
U-turn to
is,
run back.
and I'm
As he
going to
throws
tell
something
you
in the back of the head of the person.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to, have you listen to every single word that I say. That way, whenever I do this whole walking away thing, you know exactly why. You know exactly what is on my mind. I leave it all on the table. I'm showing
You
my
leave the
entire
table and everything there.
I'll leave it there.
And he kicks the table.
Actually, he throws something at him as he's walking over there to talk to him.
You just see Keenan.
Bam.
Keenan's like those
No,
hip hop guys. After they finish their rhyme, they just drop the mic. Just drop it.
But then they walk away, and then they come back while the stage hands are there and go, you have a problem with me? You want to talk about the mic on the ground? That was me, okay? And let me tell you why I threw it on the ground, too. I threw it for these 5 reasons. You're going to be quiet as I speak to you.
Give me a beat, drummer. Give me a beat. Give me a beat so I can
I'm
tell
going to
you.
throw it again. Bam. Oh, that's how I did it.
Give me a beat.
I didn't mean to hit you in the head on the way back over. Yeah, that. I get how Keenan likes confrontation.
See, Keenan was the guy in my group back in the day. We're talking about back in the day. I always had a Keenan in my group because Keenan always made the night interesting. You never know what you're going to get into.
Might go to jail. We don't know.
Yeah.
Now here's the kind of person I am, though. I'm just the opposite. Okay, have you ever heard the song "Jeremy" from Pearl Jam?
Yeah, Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
I'm the kid that one of these days I'm going to explode because I hold it all in.
Don't be some serial killer. Don't be doing that.
Well, let me know before you do that so I can put my hazmat
No, that's
suit on.
that's the fun of it. That's the fun of it. I want Bill to let you know.
I don't want Bill exploding on me, man.
It might be here in the studio tonight. It might be next week.
I'm scared because Bill, we work together a lot.
I could probably never be. I could probably never fit the serial killer profile because I let it all out.
All on his chest.
It's out.
Keenan will have the serial killer T-shirt on and dare somebody to question why he's wearing the T-shirt.
And me, see,
I have it all out, and then after that, I'm just done. I'm like, the next day, someone might say something to me about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm over that now.
See, and me, I'm just like a dog. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm just going to chew on it and chew on it.
No.
Are you going to curb me eventually? I'm starting to get scared.
Bill, have I told you? Hey, Bill.
What?
No, I would never hurt
Bill,
you, Ashley.
have I told you I love you today?
Not today. Not today.
I say that every day. Pucker up, Buttercup.
You were saying something about my shirt. Now, what was that?
I was talking about how beautiful the shirt that is, man.
Now you're talking.
Don't do that. Don't.
But no,
you never know. You could be wearing the shirt just to see what you would say.
That's right.
And it's in a reverse type.
I'm going to see who my friends are and who my enemies are.
Okay, this is becoming toxic. I'm going to remove myself from the show.
So let's talk about real quick because it just came into my head. So what about confrontation and closure? Think about it. A lot of times we have to confront somebody to get some sort of closure, and maybe that's more of what it is. And we'll talk about that later on because it just kind of beeped into my head because sometimes it's hard to just say, hey, they're toxic. They hate on me. They treat me like crap, and I need to go away now. So bye-bye. And so sometimes it's hard to say bye-bye, and so you still have these issues, and so you might have to do some confrontation because sometimes it's hard to walk away. And also, we're trained. Think about how we as humans are trained. For example, I have a friend of mine who's one of the most toxic people I know.
It's not me, is it?
It's nobody in the studio space.
Okay, good.
Or in the building.
Okay, good.
Okay,
good.
So we're good with that.
Good.
And nobody's related or anything like that.
Okay, great.
But I've known him for a long time. And I have a girlfriend as well. And I've known them both for a very long time. And the problem with both of them is that they're both highly toxic people, and they take out their anger on people around them. And you sit there and you kind of think, oh, well, maybe today it's because of this or that or this or that. But I eventually realized all the energy that I put toward wondering why they're being like that, or why are they screaming, or why are they angry, or why are they doing this, or why are they trying to undermine me, or why are they trying to brainwash you, or whatever they're doing at that exact time because they use all kinds of different things to do all the time. Stop, because all that energy that I'm, putting out there to find out what so-and-so is doing doesn't make any sense. And it's hard to just sit there and say after all of those years, okay, sayonara, but a lot of times the best thing we can do is to do that, because when we confront people a lot of times that are like that, they don't even get it. Yeah. And then they'll turn it around on you. You're the problem.
Yeah, and actually, and Keenan and I can relate here because I had an ex-friend, and I think Keenan still kind of talks to him. But
because he confronts him every day.
Yeah, right, probably.
Yo, man.
But this guy and I got to be pretty close there for a while. I mean, we were hanging out, drinking buddies and whatnot. And he was going through a lot of personal issues. A lot of them were self inflicted, quite frankly. And I tried to do what I could to help him, and at some point the relationship just became too toxic, and he was going down a path that I just couldn't follow. And so I had to make the painful decision to cut it loose. And, I wish it had turned out differently.
It's a lot less painful than it would have been if you stayed in it.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, I hear the good news, though, is, Keenan, correct me if I'm wrong here, he moved on, he moved to another city, and apparently he's doing really well. So, maybe just a change of scenery is what he needed.
That's all it was. He just needed to change the scenery. That was it. I mean, I think most people, to be honest, actually needs a change of scenery. The funny part about it is that with human beings, I don't know what it is, but we have this, the majority of us have a fear of change. So the problem becomes like when things do get toxic, it's like they don't want to change because they don't know what's on the other side.
Well, they don't want to change because they're conditioned again.
Yeah. You've been living in, and pardon the term, listeners, but you've been living in funk for so long, you don't know what funk is anymore.
Right.
I mean,
it's just normal to you. And here's the thing, fear of the unknown.
But it also works for you, though. I mean, the thing is, let's not BS this. Let's not say that somebody's not getting something out of being toxic because they do get something out of it. I mean, let's not lie and say, oh, Johnny's always toxic all the time, that poor guy. No, Johnny's getting something out of being toxic.
Yeah. So I think then it goes back to the point, actually that first point is to recognize it. I talk a lot about this in some of my leader groups and all of that. The minute you see it and it's not going to change. And I share this with my daughters, especially as they become of dating age. If he was a bum, you're not going to clean him up and not turn him into,
Prince
Charles into a prince. Yeah. And I'm telling them that early because we've all tried to do that. And I don't want them wasting their time on a bum that's going to be a bum and that's going to do bum things.
Yeah, a fear of change is something that we've talked about lots on this show. Mm-hmm. And actually, if one of our listeners wanted to get more information,
go check it out on iTunes, Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. Just click that in on iTunes and find the podcast, or go to Spreaker and go put in Ashley. You can just actually put ASHLEY in, enter, and you'll find Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. Go on and click on that, and you can listen to it on demand. Or you can check out AshleyBurgess.com. Or if you can somehow or not connect to my brainwaves, I can feed it right to you intravenously. However,
raw and cut, baby. Give it to me pure. Puro.
Straight from the main line.
Puro.
But I agree with what y'all are saying, and just to trump that even more is that you can't change someone unless they want to change.
Amen. Mm-hmm.
That's why rehab only works for people that want to stop doing whatever it is they're doing. Like, the whole family could be there, everybody's there at the intervention, we could all be there at the intervention, and unless homeboy wants to change his ways and get over it and know that he does have a problem and he wants to change because he sees his life not good.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but isn't step number one of the 12-step
admitting it?
You have to admit there's a problem.
You admit it, but also, and then the next thing is you have to admit it and then say, hey, my life isn't good.
Yeah.
I want to change. But if we all say that to them, that's why, just everybody can hear this right now on the air on the Perspectives with Ashley Burgess show. Honest to God, the statistics that came out this last year on rehab facilities only work 7% of the time, not 97, not 17.
7%.
They work 7% of the time.
That sounds about right.
The average person goes 3 times. Okay, so
making money.
Think about all the money you're making, how all these facilities are making money, and they don't expose you. They don't show you, we only have a 3% success rate here. And the reason why there's a 3% success rate is because 3 people out of that group, whatever that group is, actually wanted to change. Because they believed that they could, and they did.
Yeah.
That's the state of affairs.
Well, not only that, though, a lot of people after rehab, they go back into the same environment that took them to rehab.
Exactly, like hanging out with toxic people. If you actually get positive and then you go with a whole group of really negative, toxic people, guess what? It's going to be hard to keep that positivity. So stay tuned. When we return, we're going to be talking more about how you can see toxicity, how you can accept it, or how you can confront it, and how you're going to probably eventually have to let those relationships go. So stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
You're You're in a good place now. Relax, breathe, smile. You've entered into your element, the home of origin, the home of intelligence and beauty, where relevant topics are discussed, where what you think counts, and where superior is the norm. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
We're going to draw some perspective. We're going to draw a road and some phone poles and building going into the distance with some mountains and shadows and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do it really fast. You can't do perspective without a horizon that you're looking into the distance at.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight's show, we're talking about toxic relationships, how to see them, accept them, or confront them, and how to let them go. You know, earlier in the first hour, we were discussing, various types of toxic relationships, and I think I want to go back to that because there's so much more to cover, so much more ground, and I think we need to go there because I think a lot of times we don't realize possibly when something is toxic because it's hard to really define it. Also, I'm not just talking about random people. This could include your family, friends, whoever.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so no matter what dynamic.
Uh-oh.
Brought the family in on it. And so sometimes we get it's like we seem to, we don't get it because we don't understand that family could be toxic. We don't understand that maybe friends could be toxic, even childhood friends. We don't see it that way. We just see it as that's part of them. And in order to see it and let it go, we got to make sure that we know what we're dealing with. So let's start talking about, I think one of the most toxic people is people that really manufacture drama. I think that people that can manufacture drama like it's the next best-selling product are people that you have to really watch out for because I know sometimes people just try to start things just to have a fight to watch. Just to see a train wreck, they'll actually devise the train wreck, create it, use their friends as pawns, and then throw it out there. And it's all done very well, but it happens all the time.
There's an old school term for that, Ashley, troublemaker. Just the person who likes going around stirring up drama or controversy between people where really there isn't any, or it's just, it's minor stuff.
Well, yeah, I've experienced that firsthand. The thing is, I think some people do it for their sheer own entertainment. That's it.
I agree.
It is. Well, think about it. All of our lives, we've been conditioned to be entertained with drama.
Yeah.
They call theater drama, right?
Well, in TV,
Well, yeah, TV drama. That's what they call them. And the thing is, everything that we watch that entertains us, there is some kind of drama involved.
But drama doesn't necessarily have to always be harmful or negative, right? I don't know what the definition of drama is.
Well, it doesn't have to be. But the type of person we're talking about, though, I'm
eating popcorn, and Eric's trying to get away with drama right now. He's trying to get away. He's trying to say, but some drama's okay, though, right? Can we define what drama's okay?
Wait a minute. You're not just eating popcorn. You're eating cinnamon brown sugar kettle corn. Okay.
Yeah, baby. It's whole grain, by the way. It's non-GMO corn.
And when it comes to...
I have no idea what non-GMO corn means.
It's a good thing.
It's not manufactured BS corn.
I just know when it comes to the microphone, it goes...
Well, is it as edible as like regular popcorn?
It's more than it's good for you. It's not going to cause some sort of crazy, who knows what's going to happen with genetically modified foods. We don't know.
Ashley, you were fronting me out. Would you continue fronting me out?
Yeah, so the whole drama thing, it's like, there is no good drama. There's no this is okay drama.
That was my question. No, I didn't know. I didn't know if there was a spectrum of drama. Is the term drama inherently dramatic?
Well, yeah, we're not talking comedy. Comedy. We're not talking like a love story or comedy or romantic. We're talking about drama. Drama
thriller.
has ups and downs. But
drama.
When I talk about manufacturing,
but it doesn't
drama,
always have to end negatively.
If you walk away, it doesn't.
No, well,
it
doesn't. That is if you walk away. If you have the ability to walk away. Some people, they choose to stand their ground, or they just rather stand their ground because they like that adrenaline.
Stand their ground and stay in the drama because it's part of their lifestyle now.
I tell you who doesn't have drama. Mary J. Blige doesn't have drama.
No hateration.
She did that No More Drama song. That's a
no hateration, holleration.
That's what she did. She said no more drama. She made a manifesto and she walked away from the drama. Yeah.
Well, it's true. It's a big deal. And so, think about it. Everybody that's listening tonight, you have people out there that are manufacturing drama on a daily basis. I had somebody call me the other day and tell me about how they were going to head to this Christmas party that I had gone to a few weeks ago, and I wondered. I said, because I looked for you, but I didn't see you there. And they're like, "Oh, the day before I got a message saying XYZ, and I was like, oh man, and they were just like, I couldn't believe that. I wasn't about to go into that situation. I'm standing up for myself. I'm not going to continue to give in to this person. And it means a lot when somebody's been doing this for a long time. It does take somebody to reprogram themselves, because a lot of times, even though we say we hate the drama, when you get on that level, you like it because it's toxic. Because you're seeing eye to eye. You're going, oh, okay, this gives me reason. And except for you have to just let it go and realize drama's really not that interesting. I mean, that's why most of the reality shows to me aren't really that interesting. I mean, somebody throwing a drink in someone's face and then yelling at them and cussing them out. I've seen that a million times. I don't really need to see that again with some women from wherever, you know?
Yeah, and, and Keenan was making the point about, okay, some people do it for entertainment and they just kind of sit back and let it go. But I think some people also do it, and getting back to one of our points in the first hour, they want to be the center of attention. They want everything to revolve around them. So they'll start drama, because then it's like everything is revolving around and coming through, this particular person. And that's exactly what they want. That's what they're looking for.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do see what you're saying. I mean, with the everything revolving around them, because the thing is, when drama occurs, when you cause that drama, when you are the troublemaker, the spotlight is placed on you. Now, it kind of goes back to my theater days in college. I'm not going to lie. I used to love being on stage doing monologues by myself on stage, because the spotlight was on me and I just loved it, and everyone was looking at me and it was all eyes on me. However, not everyone has the pleasure of performing in theater, but yet they still want that same rush. So what do? They're performing in real life, and they cause drama.
Right.
You know what it reminds me of is when you were talking about this. If anybody wants to listen to some of our past shows too, this is a good segue. Check us out on Spreaker. Go to Ashley. It'll pull up. Just put ASHLEY in, and it'll put Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. Or go to iTunes. Check out Perspectives. I remember you talking about a few months ago. We were talking about that, where you said that people would walk into like the bar or whatever, and it looked like they acted like they had like the fans and the air behind them, and they looked a certain way, and they walked in a certain way. And you're right. I guess you're right. A lot of people's lives, maybe they try to make it more interesting by creating this drama. However, a lot of times this drama just creates more problems.
There's a cost to that, man. There's an emotional toll to that. That's exhausting, yeah.
And you hear people talking about it all the time. Oh, so-and-so did this, and I did this, and this happened. And it's like, well, nothing's ever going to change. I mean, you're backstabbing each person all over the place. You're talking crap about everybody behind everybody's back, and then people wonder why you hang out with them.
That's not sustainable. I don't know, maybe it's age or whatever, but, I got a problem when somebody else's drama overlaps my life. If you're going to have drama and create drama, keep it on your own porch, keep it in your own yard. But unfortunately, we live in a connected society and things overlap. They overlap. So I'm a no drama guy. In case the listeners hadn't figured it out, I've been through drama. I've been through drama that I didn't even understand it was drama. But I don't have the time for it, man. I'm trying to do the positive thing. I'm trying to get better myself, and I just don't have the time for it. Well,
that's me. I'm just so anti-drama that I'll remove myself from a situation just because I just don't have the desire or the energy.
Well, it's a game. It's not reality. Like when you're in drama and you're playing a part in drama, no matter if you're instigating it or you're one of the people that you're the pawn or you've agreed to it, either way, you're not in reality anymore. This is no longer conscious living. This is sideline living. You have taken yourself out of the game of life. You've allowed someone else to devise the new game. So this is not even a real game. This is just a game that so-and-so made up. It's like when you don't have anything to play and you're over there sitting there when you were a kid in the car on a long drive somewhere with your family, or you were at home, trying to entertain your brothers and sisters or something like that. And you don't have like a game. You don't have cards ready to invent a game. That's what people are doing, is they're inventing a game.
But my games didn't impact other people negatively. My games didn't involve lies. My game didn't involve creating false scenarios to make people think different things. My games didn't involve getting someone emotionally involved with me. Just for the sake where I can say that I control them. Maybe it's me, man, but I've never had the capacity for that kind of stuff, man.
I'm not interested in it.
I'm not interested in it either.
Not one bit. I would rather just deal with reality. I'd rather have friends and confidants and constituents, I guess, are some of the words that some people use.
Eric, where are you going? I'm going to hang out with my constituents.
Based on the fact that you treat people with respect, and it's not some sort of concocted BS that you've concocted to parlay a type of emotion from someone or to usurp your power.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I don't have time for drama, and I know most people listening tonight don't have time for drama. However, how many times have we found ourselves involved with it? I recently found myself involved with it. I recently found out it's a long story, but you know when people get pregnant and they don't tell you about it, and you're supposed to be a close friend, right? And so you find out all this stuff.
Or the father.
And you're from the father, the baby. It was like there was like pregnancy tests and all this stuff going on, and I had to find out from a third party, okay? And I was thinking, oh my gosh, what the heck? How close of friends are we really? Anyway, long story short, fast forward a little bit, come to find out that none of this, yes, it had all been talked about, but none of it was really real. And so there I was for hours at a time listening to something that wasn't really real.
Spending emotional capital.
Emotional capital, and on top of that, it had nothing to do with me, but yet all of a sudden it's a part of my life now. And yeah, it was something interesting. I mean, that's what these, all these talk shows talk about, like a lot of them, who's the father of the child? Let's do the DNA test and find out the paternity of the child or whatever. But in actuality, what good did that do me? Nothing. I wasted 2 hours of time on that.
You spend emotional capital with no return on the investment.
Yeah, you're right.
No, I
didn't even get a kid out of the deal.
Our boy Eric, the emotional advisor, instead of the financial advisor.
Yes. I'm the emotional finance advisor.
Yes.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Sally Jesse Raphael or Montel Williams, if that would have been my show, it would have been kind of fun. But no, it wasn't my show, and it wasn't my baby. So
Thank God.
When we return, we're going to be talking more about how you can see toxicity, how you can accept it or confront it, and then how you can actually let it go in your life. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives with Ashley Burgess. The water's warm and there's a swim-up bar. Glass of perspective, anyone? Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight's show, we're talking about how you can see toxicity, how you can either accept it or confront it, and how you can begin to let toxic relationships go. Right before the break, we were talking about how, sometimes we can get involved with drama makers and how that can create a lot of negative static in our life, a lot of toxicity that doesn't help you. It takes you out of the game of life. It takes you out of being part of your own life, and it actually makes you, I don't know, like somebody watching someone else's life take place. It's almost like you're in the audience of the film at the movie theater, but you're actually taking time out of your life to do this. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So let's jump into another toxic relationship that I think a lot of people don't always realize is a toxic relationship. I think that's people who always try to get you off target. So when you're working on something, and you're working on something that's really important to you, you always got that one friend, right, that'll just call you, come by. It's always at the time when you're trying to get work done. And they try to get you off target. Let's go to the bar. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And it's cool sometimes, and you're allowing it. So you're part of the problem, okay?
Yeah.
But it seems like they're always around when you have something big you need to do, or if you're actually going to jump from one place in life to another. So, for example, if you've been working at a certain level and you're about to make a climatic type jump, meaning you're going to move to another level, you're going to hit another vibrational level, another sound, or you're going to become quite more successful in different layers of your life, there is that person that's always going to be there to try to pull you back down.
Yeah, now, does that person inject themselves into the scene, or do we attract that person to the scene?
It's a combination of it. Because we also are sitting there over there going, well, I wonder how...
It could be either or both.
I wonder how so-and-so's doing right now, And so all of a sudden, so-and-so calls, and you go, well, we better take this call. I better see what's going on. Instead of, you know what, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Let me go on and call them and let them know that I don't have time, but it takes two to tango on this.
But you let them in. You let them in. You pick up the call.
And that's the thing about toxic relationship. And this is what really gets me when people talk to me about toxic relationships, about, it's always about what so-and-so did, what so-and-so did. And I'm kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. 1 + 1 = 2. Why are you leaving out the other variable?
Exactly. Like
You
when people create drama, for
Yeah,
example, you have to either play a part in that,
Yeah.
or you just look at them and go, "Dude, I'm not interested."
I just think we all do play a part in whatever it is that's going on within our lives. Like, for example, when I reach over here and I grab this, whatever this is, or this, what they call this? Fuzzy?
Fozzie Bear.
It's
Yeah, the
Fozzie
From the
Bear.
Muppets.
We're playing with Muppets in the studio,
yeah.
folks, tonight,
And
by
he
the
would
way.
go, and he would tell a bad joke, and he goes, waka, waka,
Yeah,
waka.
waka, like Fozzie, and I'm in there and playing with
Isn't
Fozzie.
Waka-
and
isn't
then,
that a hip-hop
you know,
artist, Waka Waka?
I drop Fozzie, right? I drop
Oh,
Fozzie.
Waka Flocka.
But the thing is,
yeah.
I could get all upset because, I dropped Fozzie, and, now Fozzie's just laying on the table, because it's like, but at the same time, though, it's like I'm leaving myself out the equation, you know what I mean?
Well, there's nobody to spar with.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
So I've dropped the argument,
Yeah.
but people don't want to drop it. So if Eric and I were arguing about something, and I'm bringing him in the drama, and he's bringing me in the drama, and he's over there, Ashley's the drama queen, and it takes both of us to sit there and tango.
Never.
If you were to sit there and say, "Hey, Ashley, you know what? I really appreciate it, but I got to move on right now," or I'm not interested in the way this is going, or "Hey, Ashley, I got some other stuff. I got to do some pressing stuff. We'll meet up again later." Okay, drama queen then has nobody to have drama with. However, if Eric looks at me and goes, "You're a drama queen," I go, "Oh, you're a drama king." And he's like, "No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not." And we sit there, we bring other people into it. Then we're both co-creating it, because you can't have just one person doing it.
And it's not a good look.
Well,
Drama king's not a good
It's
look.
not a good look.
It depends on how you can play the optics. I'll play the optics.
Drama king.
With a long-distance lens.
yeah.
Fisheye lens. Let's call it fisheye.
I think there's a common theme running through all of our toxicity, say that fast 3 times, toxicity elements tonight. It seems to be caused by the person who wants to be at the center of the attention. And, so talk about, the person who's always needy, kind of whiny, I don't care what you got going on in your life. It's all about me, all eyes on me. Okay. So, I think this is another example of, kind of a control freak type situation. They want to have control over someone else to gratify themselves.
Oh, that actually leads right into the next toxicity. Toxic person, toxic people, really. Toxic situation is people who would rather live in a fantasy world where they are the center of its world. And that can be a toxic person too. I mean, so for example, I have a family member. I'm not going to say who it is or name names or point fingers or name names. But at the very last minute, they decided that they didn't want to come to my house for the holidays. And so they just texted me saying, made other plans.
After you had already gone through the trouble.
I already expected they were going to be there. Like, it wasn't ever a thought in my head that they weren't showing up. And so when you get that, that's the key right there, is that when people are the center of the universe and you are just a pawn in their game, they can play you however they want to.
Yeah.
It's never going to change.
Yep.
And you can sit there and have conversation after conversation after conversation with this person until you're blue in the face, because I've tried this. Sometimes it works.
I have too, Ashley.
Yeah. And it doesn't work.
It's kind of, remember the
You think it does, though, for a second. You go, "Oh, they got my side. They figured it out." No.
Remember The Godfather?
Illusion.
The puppet master. It's some people want to be the puppet master. And pull the strings and all that good stuff.
And some people don't even remember that there's other puppets there. They only remember that the puppet is there when they need the puppet.
Or Muppets.
Or Muppet
Or
puppet.
Muppets.
Oh, yeah, Muppets.
See,
Fuzzy guy.
I've got Animal the drummer, and then what looks like Kim Jong-un or something like that. We can't figure out who this one
I
is.
think that is him. See, I have both Kermits. I have a Kermit with his hands in the air going, "Why, God? Why toxic relationships?" And then I have another one that looks kind of sinister and kind of funny, like he's up to something.
Well, it looks like he's in prayer.
No, he looks like he's up to
saying a prayer.
something. When was the last time you saw the Muppets saying prayers?
I don't know. But
Is
first
this
time
the
I've heard it.
religious Muppet set?
Muppets
It
pray?
is the religious Muppet set.
I guess they did have a creator, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, Jim Henson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the god of that universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All eyes on Jim Henson.
All eyes on me, the center of the universe. I mean, and so it's like, it really hurt my feelings when this person decided to do that. And then when I talked to them on the phone about it, at first we kind of went back and forth. We never touched anything of significance.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, "Let's talk about this." They're like, "I don't want to talk about this right now. I'd rather wait." And I go, "Why would you want to wait? This doesn't make any sense. Why are we going to wait on something that you started?"
And the thing is, that's what gets me every time.
Conversation!
That gets me Every time it's like
now what you did. Look what you did, Ashley. You just got Keenan started.
No, that gets me every No, I don't like waiting. I don't like waiting at all. I want to talk about it right then, right there, and like just get it all out in the open. That way we can have some kind of understanding and closure, and then we can move on to the next subject.
So why is it that people that are all the center of their universes, why do they want to start a fight and then they don't want to talk about it?
I don't know.
Because I think what happens is that we shine light on the fact that they're not the center of the universe and they've done something wrong, but they don't want that light shine.
Actually, see what you did? Look at the veins on Keenan's neck right now.
Yeah, man. He's
got
confronting
him
now.
started.
That just really irks me.
I can understand that, actually.
If
you didn't want to do anything about it, why did you bring it up in the first place?
Exactly. I mean, the thing is, one of my character flaws is that, yes, I am an impatient person. That is one of my character flaws. I admit it. Another thing that I admitted on the show is that, yes, I am confrontational. I am.
I like that.
I admit it, though. I'm being honest, right? But, and like, yes, like my friends describe me as, I guess, the alpha type. And yes, I naturally talk loud and everything else, but the thing is, if there is a problem and like, if I know there's a problem, I'll address it. And if that person's like, well, no, I don't want to talk about it. But see, no. See, that's not going to work for me, because the thing is, you're just going to stand there in your corner and look at me all sideways with all these funny faces as if you're pouting.
With the tongue up against the roof of the mouth or on the side of the cheek.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, it is impossible to ignore because it's always in the back of your head.
Well, just because they're being a jerk about it.
Just like, say you're on a reality TV show, it's hard to act natural in front of a camera because you are conscious that you do know.
There's a crew there. There's 15 people there. There's 3 cameras.
So you can never
There's a script.
There's a script. So you can never be natural. You can never be your true, authentic self in front of a camera, just like you can never be your true, authentic self in a situation when you know there's tension in the room.
What about games that are played by toxic people? So don't you think this might be a game being played by a toxic person, i.e., okay, Keenan, you and I say something crazy to you, and then you said, no, I want to talk about it. I said, no, I don't want to talk about it right now. I'll talk to you about it next week. To me, that's a game being played.
Well, yeah.
It's like chess.
I don't want to lose.
Moving the pieces around the board.
Oh, see, that's me right there. That's me. I don't want to lose at all. Any argument I get in, I don't want to lose. I know that's another character flaw that I have. Don't want to lose. Hate losing. But the thing, if someone was like, I don't want to talk about it, that's when I take 2 steps forward towards them and be like, no, we are going to talk about this right now.
I agree.
So if they're a master thinker, then they can always say, I don't want to talk about it.
And they keep putting you on the spot because then you're over there wondering, because now they've gotten in your mind. They know that you're wondering. They know that you're intense about why is this happening. I want to get to the bottom of this, but I'm not going to allow them, because if they get to the bottom of it, they're going to figure me out. And guess what? My ground is now gone. I want to keep my ground, so I want to keep my ground. I avoid the argument. So when we return, we're going to talk about more about toxic relationships, how you can see them, confront them, accept them, or just let them go. Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. We'll be back in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On tonight's show, we've been talking about how to see toxicity, toxic relationships in your life, either accept them or confront them, and how you can actually begin to let them go. Right before the break, we were talking about how some people are toxic in the fact that you're just living in their fantasy world. They're the center of this universe. And if you don't understand that they're the center of the universe and they will talk to you when they want to talk to you, they'll be around you when they want to be around you, that's also a version of a toxic relationship, because that's all about control. I want to completely control the situation. I want to completely control your emotional well-being. I want to control how you feel. And in a moment's notice, I want to be able to drop a bomb, and I want to see you freak out. Now, even some of the most conscious people, and I'm going to give myself that, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to deal that well with what I dealt with. But for about an hour and a half, I went through a mental funk.
it's
and
okay.
even for the best of the best out there, people that are listening realize that you might be the best of the best, consciously amazing person, the 99th percentile. But still, when somebody is very close to you, a toxic relationship can just mess it up for you. And a lot of times these people choose to do that when it's a time that you're not expecting it.
Every time.
When it's a situation where there's a lot of emotions already. And also,
or when you let your guard down.
When you let your guard down, or when you make an assumption. Oh, watch this, bam, and you're over there like trying to pick up the pieces and trying to figure out, where your head ends and your your butt begins, And a lot of times, this happens with people with their family.
Yeah.
Because family and old long-term friends are the two that can use this to the greatest of ability to manipulate you.
They know what buttons to push.
Because I was going to say, they know you better than you know yourself.
And to your point, Ashley, you were down for an hour and a half, whatever you said, but at least you weren't down for a month. At least you weren't down for a couple of weeks. And I went through something very similar, and I think I had the conversation with you, Ashley, to where someone I was very close to, and there was a toxic dynamic, and they said some things that really, really cut deep. And for a minute, I was in a funk. It lasted for a couple of days, but I realized what was going on, and I pulled myself out of it. Now, rewind 5-10 years later, I probably would have been in that funk for about 6 months to a year. But so I see that as progress, and we all deal with it. I can see it and smell it coming now, for the most part, at this age. I can see it and smell it coming. But you're right, Ashley. When it comes from those closest to you, sometimes you have your guards down and it penetrates.
Well, you expect them to be a little better than that.
You hope.
We that's sometimes our own shortcoming.
Yeah.
Is that we expect them to be a little better than, and you have to look at people all across the board and realize where are you in that relationship, and then no matter who they are to you, do they really treat you that well? And a lot of times I always like to use that whole analogy is if it's a family member, okay, and they do something out of left field. Think about this. Family member does something negative out of left field. Most of the time, everybody listening for the most part accepts it and says, well, there must have been a reason for it. Or you go into a tailspin and they don't understand what to do. You're emotionally just like beaten down. You have no idea what to do. However, put a friend in that position. So take the argument, and instead of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, whoever is in the situation, and put a friend, your best friend in there. If your best friend did that to you, would that be acceptable? If your best friend did that to you, would you, basically say, hey, why are you doing this? Would you have conflict? Would you confront them? Or would you just accept it? And I think sometimes when you take somebody, even take a stranger, if a stranger did that to me, how would I feel?
Yeah.
And that puts things into perspective, because if a friend had done that to me, knowing the situation and knowing the years of all that we've done, that would not be acceptable at all. I would call them on them and confront them and say, hey, we had an agreement. This is what we do. This is our agreement. This is our tradition. If you didn't want to be part of the tradition, then you should just let me know. Don't lie to me, though. Don't sit there and try to make me out to be the bad guy because you made a choice that you didn't really want to deal with. You made a choice and you decided the only way I could legitimately get away with this choice is to make this person think that it's their fault. And then continue to do so. And when somebody's trying to confront them, I don't want to talk about it because I don't think it's the right time. Because eventually the light of day is going to come in there. Yeah. And if you're conscious enough to realize, okay, this might be why this person's doing this, let's back it up, and then you bring it forth, you call them on it. Yeah. But it still sucks because if you have emotional connection with this person, it makes you feel bad.
But if you live long enough, you get it and you see it, hopefully sooner rather than later. At least that's the way I see it. And, it's funny. When I was younger, I used to, look at my grandfather on both sides of my family. And both of my grandfathers were old school guys. They worked hard, blue collar guys in the whole 9 yards. But they didn't have a lot of friends. And I asked my grandfather one time, Herman, and I said, Grandpa, Daddy, I called him Daddy. I said, Daddy, why don't you have a lot of friends and stuff that you hang out with? And he says, keep living, son, because the older you get, the fewer friends that you'll have. And those that were considered best friends typically fade away into another season. And that's kind of some reality to that. I mean, no offense to Facebook and all the friends of perspectives that are out there, but at the end of the day, when it comes to personal relationships, the older you get, the fewer friends you have, and that's a reason for that, I think.
Well, and I think real quickly, Ashley, speaking of Facebook and also Twitter, I would love to hear what our listeners think about all this.
Yeah, for sure.
I think our definition of friends changed. So, I remember when I was younger.
Good point.
My definition of friends was different, man. Anybody I hung out with, anybody I had a drink with, that's a friend, man.
That's a friend, yeah.
But now it's like that's an acquaintance. Or, that's somebody I might want to be friends with, but I don't really know them that well.
For me, Ashley, it was homies, back in the day, homies.
I don't say the word friends. If I'm like talking about my friends, I don't say the word friends.
Well, and me, Ashley.
I joke with the homie thing.
You know me, Ashley.
I say totally different words. So.
I only use my Facebook for, my close circle of true friends. I try not to put acquaintances on my Facebook page. I have some, but not a whole lot. And so someone will send me a friend request. If I don't really know that person that well, then I don't accept it. It's not that I'm trying to be rude to that person.
Yeah.
It's just that I personally try to use my Facebook for a specific reason. But my grandmother, Eric, is actually the same way. She does not have, she's 85, so her health is failing, for one thing. But she hasn't had a circle of friends in about 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's just that she found it so energy draining.
Bingo, there you go. That's where I am.
Have to, keep up with all that stuff. And she just would rather not have to deal with it. And she's happy as a lark.
Happy as can be, yeah. No, I get it, man. I'm there. I don't have the energy, nor do I have the finances to be cultivating any new friend relationship.
Yeah,
me too.
My thing is more finance, and it's definitely not energy, because I have plenty of energy. Probably another character flaw of mine.
What the heck are you talking about, Eric? I don't have any energy to have new friends. Said something like that.
I do have
That's the biggest BS I've ever.
I
don't have any
That's not
energy to
BS.
make friends.
You know why that's not BS? Because when I consider someone a friend, there's an investment. There's an emotional investment. There's an intellectual investment. There's an investment of time with that person if I'm truly going to consider them a friend. And I just don't have the time as much as I used to do that.
Eric, I think you just hit upon it. Maybe we should rephrase what we just said. It's not that we don't have the energy. Okay.
Well, see, I don't agree with you.
We do. We do have the energy to have friends. It's just that
I don't agree with you at all.
Well, hang on a second. We have the energy for as many as like 100 friends or 200 friends or whatever. It's just that how do you choose to spend that energy? Do you want to invest it in a healthy relationship or invest it in a toxic relationship? You actually, at some point, you have that choice.
Oh, well, yeah, let's look at it from a toxic to healthy. You can have like 1,000 healthy relationships and one toxic, and it takes up the same amount of time.
Yeah.
That toxic relationship can take you down.
Suck the life out of you.
You know what I'm saying? Like literally, you could have relationships with so many people and learn so much from different people all across the world and really take that in and really enjoy it. On the same side, you can have one or two toxic relationships in your life and you will feel like you don't have energy. You will feel, because you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to go from those toxic relationships where you're getting beat up all the time and mentally, emotionally, not even, and sometimes we don't even get it. We don't even know what's happening. Like, you don't even realize you're around
because
toxicity.
You're in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you go home and you get angry, you break something, you cuss out on the phone somebody, but it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the person you were spending time with right before you got home.
You know what that brings me to, and I know we got to wrap up this particular segment, and I'm just going to jump into it real quick. We talked a little bit about, and I'm talking about drama and all of that earlier, and one person comes to mind who articulated his descent into drama to where he couldn't pull himself out, and that was Tupac. When you really listen to Tupac's music, he found out that he was in a place that was full of so much drama to where it ultimately threatened his life and took his life, and he couldn't get out of it because he let himself get so deep in it, it took over.
Wow, that's profound.
And that's a cautionary tale. Listen to his lyrics. Help me get out of this. I can't get out of this. Oh, mama, can you save me from this? Because he found himself so deep into the drama, he couldn't breathe. And ultimately, he died from it. Drama killed him. Drama killed him.
Man.
For those of you who believe he's dead, drama killed him. He got caught up in it. And reality and fiction and drama, the lines all blurred, and he couldn't get out of it.
Man, that's profound.
Think about it.
That's true, and I believe he died. I've done some research, though. I was one of those people for a little while. I was like, oh, he's not dead.
Yeah, the autopsy kind of proves it, right?
Yeah, I was like, no, he's dead.
yeah, he's dead. But
Ain't no more
but,
Elvises out there.
Well, God, Elvis just left the room a second ago. He was in the bathroom forever, though. Let me tell you that. When we return, we're going to be talking more about how you can we're actually talking the exact 4 steps you can take to deal with these toxic relationships and how you can begin to repair your life and become even more successful and have more time and energy for the real friendships in your life. So stay tuned, because Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
I could lift you up. I could show you what you want to see and take you where you want to be.
Get in here and give us your perspective. We're listening. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight's show, we've been discussing toxic relationships, how you can see them, accept them, or confront them, and how you can sometimes begin to let go of these relationships. And right now, we're going to talk about the 4 actual steps you can take to properly deal with these toxic relationships that you have in your life. And let's not BS it. Let's just not. Because all of us, to some degree, have 1 or 2 people that we don't need.
Yep.
You just don't need. And you're holding on to them as much as they're holding on to you. Because you can't have one person just holding on. You could run away. You could just walk away and you'd be like, okay, here, you just pull his hand off your arm and you go, okay, hey, I'll see you later. But most of the time we don't do that, right? Because relationships are push and pull. You have somebody walk away and you get closer to them. And so that's the key. So the first thing you want to do is to be able to recognize when something is a toxic relationship. Recognize what is going on. How do I feel around this person? How do they make me feel? Do they build me up? Do they take me down? Yep. Are they helpful? Are they hurtful? When I'm around them, do I feel like a good person? Do I feel like who I normally feel? Or when I'm around them, I feel like later on I got to pick up the pieces of my life and hope that there's pieces left.
Or do they smell funny?
Or do they smell like cabbage?
Or do they smell like chitlins?
Wait, cabbage smells bad?
When it's boiled, it does.
Well, when it's boiled, okay.
I don't know what cabbage smells like.
We will get some cabbage in the studio here in the future.
I had to get the smell reference in here. We're talking about toxic stuff. I just had to do that.
Small
I'm sorry.
hands.
I digress.
Do they have small hands?
Do they have small hands?
Are they carnies? Let's think about this. Okay, so now we just diverted. So let's talk about you have to recognize it. Be able to recognize it. And sometimes in order to recognize that somebody's being toxic, you need to replace that person with someone else. Would you accept this from somebody else? Would you accept this from a stranger? Would you accept this from your best friend? Would you accept this type of mentality from your therapist?
That's a good point, yeah.
Would you accept this from somebody that you look up to? Because a lot of times we forget about that and we just take it as face value as so-and-so's always been like this. This is part of their mojo. It's part of their MA. But is it really? Or are you just allowing it to be? The second thing we want to do is we got to see it honestly for what it is.
Got to.
Take off the blinders. Take off the colored glasses, or better yet, stop being the savior and think that you can save this person and that all they need is a little bit of help. If I clean them up a little bit or do this or do that, they're going to change.
Which, and this is where a circle of close friends and family who are honest with you is the best gift that the good Lord could possibly give you. Yeah. Because when you're close in on a situation like that, it is so hard to be unbiased.
It's hard to see it, especially if it's a love relationship. You know, especially if it's a gender, kind of dating relationship. I'm guilty of it, folks. All you listeners out there, I'm guilty of it. And one of the things, you go to these therapists and you use these big words and all of this stuff. But an old guy from the old neighborhood, I was at the barbershop just kind of sitting out waiting my turn. And
barbershop talk.
Yeah, and we were talking about something. He said, let me tell you something, young fella. If she's a mule, she's a mule. And you can't turn a mule into a racehorse. And that was the most profound thing I had ever heard because I was going through a very bad relationship at the time, and I could not understand why the young lady was not as inspired by elevation as I was. She was, she was a toxic person in retrospect, and I tried to change her. I tried to, create a better environment for her to change, and it just didn't work. And basically, she was a mule. She was a mule.
To all the mules out there, we love you, though. I mean,
Still love mules. Still love mule. But just don't expect that mule to be a racehorse.
But mules who listen to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess, there are
we
mules.
love all animals of all creatures and kinds. However,
I'm not a nature guy, but
Ashley took that somewhere I was not even trying to go. But to your point, Ashley, we love all animals, all kinds, mules, the racehorses, everything in between, even the asses.
I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree with you on that. But yes, you don't want to look through it from these different shades. You want to really see it honestly, because if you're not honest with it, you're not honest with yourself, and you're actually creating problems in your own life. So in that situation with Eric, had he continued to hang out with this particular person, they would have brought them down, and they would have stopped. She would have single-handedly stopped Eric from succeeding, because she would have pulled him down by all the excess drama and stress and toxicity that he would be trying to go up for air underwater, get up for air, but she's going to keep holding him down.
And what did it for me, I looked in the mirror one day and I didn't recognize the guy. The joy was gone. And joy is part of my personality. I'm a naturally joyful person. And I looked in the mirror one day and not happiness, but the joy was gone.
When relationships tend to get difficult, when they also there's a lot of stress and strain all the time, even when it's supposed to be a happy time, that's a really great indicator that you are dealing with a toxic relationship. So then what do? Do you either let it go or do you confront it? And that's the next step. And that's something that you have to analyze for yourself. But you have to be honestly analyze that for yourself, because sometimes we can choose because we want to confront. Keenan loves to confront, and you want to confront. And sometimes I've chosen to confront. However, the confrontation only pushed me more down into a toxic dump because I could not fight that person on their own terms.
And for our listeners who didn't see what just happened, Keenan just took his glasses off because he is jacked.
He is in his confrontational posture.
The veins are out. Here we go.
Okay. The thing is, though, I was seeing someone, and I decided that, I'm just not going to call them anymore. And the thing is, though, I did have a confrontation about this. However, another confrontation occurred, and that confrontation occurred between me and 3 of my homegirls. It was, and the thing is, they came up to me, and they, one of them grabbed me by the collar. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, dude, you're ex-military. This is nothing deep to you, But she grabbed me by the collar and said, what are you doing? She's gritting her teeth, and she's like, you need to get rid of her. I don't like her. She doesn't like her. She doesn't like her. That person over there doesn't like her.
Some random guy that walks in doesn't like her.
Yeah. The bartender doesn't like her.
But I agree with you. There's a difference between confrontation, though, and then there's a difference between closure.
Yeah,
a lot of us confront to get closure, but that's not the same thing.
I just wanted closure, But the thing is, though, it goes back to your earlier point about, being objective. Like when a third party comes in, who's from the outside looking in, they can really shine some good, some light on the whole situation and let you see a clear perspective on it.
A healthy third party. And that's why I'm trying to give the most information right now, is because you don't want to have to refer to that third party. You want to use that as a backup. You want to be able to have the intuitive ability within you to have this radar that goes ding, 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 ding. It's like a sonar. Okay, there's something wrong here. Now let me figure out what it is. Let me figure out if I want to try to save something. Let me see if I need to confront it to deal with it. I'm not saying confrontation is ever bad. I think confrontation can be used in a supportive way to get your point across, but also to allow you some closure. Sometimes it's hard to just say, hey, goodbye, and walk away. However, some people that can do that normally find that more advantageous because they don't have to argue their way out of a relationship. So it just depends on what you have time for, what you need. But most definitely, last but not least, is you got to let those toxic relationships go. The other relationships will come in. It's not like you're going to be alone if you let this relationship go. You're not going to be alone. You're going to leave room for people to come in that are good, that are positive, that want to be in your life, that want to change your life. We want to help you go and rise to that next level, not trying to change you, not trying to make you who they want you to be, and not try to manipulate you emotionally and mentally. And I think that's the key here, is that when you're dealing with a toxic person, you're dealing with a master manipulator. So stay tuned. We have a great show for you coming up this next following week. We got a lot of stuff on the plate that we want to talk about. Great show, Eric, Keenan, and Bill.
Yes.
Thank you very much,
glad
Ashley.
to be here.
No more toxic. So stay tuned.
Keep it
Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. We'll be back in 3 shakes.